Everything began in the summer of 1947. An object that no one could explain crashed in the New Mexico desert. The initial military report stated, a UFO was found. Just a few hours later, the same military changed its statement. False alarm, it was a weather balloon. But what changed was not the crashed object. It was the truth itself. Witnesses were silenced, civilians were cleared out, newspapers were retracted, and military vehicles surrounded the area. But the strangest part was what was recovered from that wreckage. According to reports, 4 small entities, similar to but not human, were found, and one of them briefly survived. Most of us know this event as Roswell, but its name in the documents was different. Operation Majestic 12. From that day on, every piece of information, every image, every rumor about the sky was in the hands of only one group. And that group was the first shadow government that whispered to the world what it should and should not know. In fact, that desert crash was only the beginning of a much bigger story born in the shadow of the Cold War. Majestic 12 was a national security committee allegedly formed after the Roswell wreckage. According to the documents examined in Stanton T. Friedman's book, Top Secret Magic, the Majestic 12 committee had 3 primary tasks: to analyze the technology of the recovered craft, to document the biological structure of the entities found, and to conduct the entire process in absolute secrecy. According to some sources, the MJ-12 documents contained a warning. The release of this information would irreversibly shake the world order. Although not officially verified by official documents, it is clear that a great deal of anxiety lay behind all these secrecy policies implemented by governments. So, what information could they have been so afraid of revealing? Was the issue only about the existence of aliens? Was it about God? Or the truth of who created man and how? Was it about history? Or the possibility of how the past was actually altered? Was it about technology? Or the fact that it didn't belong to us? What is it they fear will change our perspective? Also, why is it so important who holds this information? There were also some strange inconsistencies with the people allegedly involved in this committee. For example, Donald Menzel, whose name appears in the documents, was a respected astronomer at Harvard University and had written articles ridiculing UFOs his entire life. But author Friedman uncovered that Menzel had a secret ultra-clearance authority in the archives. Some of you may be asking, what in the world is ultra-clearance? While the existence of such a clearance type is not officially acknowledged, it is stated that Menzel had access to layers of highly classified information that only a few people could enter. Perhaps Menzel knew very well what he was ridiculing. So, this man who mocked UFOs in public was reporting to the CIA behind the scenes. Another member was James Forrestal. He died shortly after falling from the window of the Bethesda Hospital after a disagreement with Truman. According to Timothy Good's book Above Top Secret, Forrestal was planning to talk. Perhaps he talked too soon. Now let's make a quick jump in time. Before that, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and support us by liking the video. For years, these files were buried in silence. Until 1984, when a filmmaker living in Los Angeles, Jamie Shandera, received an envelope in his mailbox with no sender information on it. Inside were 35mm film rolls. Shandera shared these documents with researcher Bill Moore. Bill Moore was also the co-author of The Roswell Incident, published in 1980. The two began analyzing the document together. Then Stanton T. Friedman, a nuclear physicist and famous UFO researcher, joined the team. This trio, Shandera, Moore, and Friedman, were the ones who examined and first announced the Majestic 12 documents to the public. An 8-page document appeared in the images. Its title was, exactly, Top Secret Magic, Operation Majestic 12, Briefing for President-elect Eisenhower. When researcher Stanton Friedman and Bill Moore printed the film in the darkroom, they couldn't believe their eyes. The document was dated 1952 and bore Truman's signature. The documents detailed the entire 1947 flying disc crash to Eisenhower. 4 small bodies, pieces of melted metal, unknown alloys transported to Sandia Laboratory. Friedman examined the documents under a microscope. The font, the paper texture, the signature style. Everything was identical to the official documents of the era. The details were strangely perfect. For instance, the stamp "Top Secret/Magic Eyes Only" was hardly used in those years. It was as if the authenticity of the document was intentionally highlighted. Years later, Richard Dolan described this event as a masterpiece of disinformation. Because the more real the document looked, the stronger the lie became. But if these documents were fake, who produced them so professionally, and why? We seem to be talking about systematically run information control mechanisms. Perhaps the goal wasn't to hide the truth, but to replace the truth with a new narrative. The first lines of that narrative would be written in 1954. On Saturday night, February 20th, 1954, President Dwight Eisenhower was at a retreat called Smoke Tree Ranch in California. It would be revealed that the press team, Secret Service, and White House reporters could not reach the president for about 12 hours after dinner. Normally, the president's evening schedule was announced to the press, but no information was given that night. When reporters asked, "Where is the president?" The next morning, the White House press office panicked and issued a statement, and that's when it was realized he had disappeared. Newspapers wrote, "The president is at the dentist," but no one saw the president at the dentist's office that night. But according to Timothy Good's book, Earth and Alien Enterprise, Eisenhower was at Edwards Air Force Base in California that day. According to witness reports, an unidentified craft was seen near the runway, and extraordinary security measures were in place around the base. According to Good, Eisenhower held a meeting with representatives of another civilization. It is claimed that the parties discussed energy sharing and disarmament, but no agreement was reached. Shortly afterward, the American government completely stopped making statements about the UFO issue. Perhaps this meeting failed, or perhaps MJ-12 took control that day. It is unknown. Richard Dolan states in his book UFOs and the National Security State, the UFO phenomenon was not a threat to the intelligence agencies, but a tool. In other words, UFOs were not just hidden. They were also consciously used to manipulate masses, distract attention, and obscure the facts. The 1953 Robertson Panel report instructed the CIA to suppress public interest. The report contained the exact sentence, "Excessive public interest in UFOs is a potential threat to the national security." The meaning was clear. The danger was not the aliens, but the people who asked questions. Telling the press weather balloon and university's optical illusion was part of this psychological operation. Edward Ruppelt, the director of the Air Force UFO research program Project Blue Book, wrote after retiring, "It was free to report the incidents, but it was forbidden to believe them." The system established by MJ-12 was not just hiding information, it was devaluing the information. Because a subject that is mocked is not investigated, but no power can stop curious people who want to investigate. Colonel Philip J. Corso's book, The Day After Roswell, brought a whole new dimension to the MJ-12 legend. Corso wrote that while serving at the Pentagon in 1961, pieces found at Roswell were secretly distributed to private laboratories, Bell Labs, IBM, General Electric. These companies developed revolutionary technologies within a few years. Fiber optic cable, laser, integrated circuit, night vision. According to Corso, none of these were a coincidence. Every product was part of an information transfer program approved by MJ-12. Corso says in his book, "We didn't invent that technology, we just repackaged it." And he adds, "Roswell didn't just give us a spaceship, it gave us an industry." This narrative reinforced the claim that Majestic 12 was not just a secrecy organization, but the invisible engineer behind technological evolution. But Dolan writes that this might also be another form of control. Perhaps sharing technology was a new way to make humanity dependent. In the 1980s, a name caught the attention of the UFO community, Richard Doty. He was an AFOSI agent. His job was to leak information to UFO researchers, but this information was lies blended with pieces of the truth. Doty later openly admitted to this operation. "We don't call it disinformation, we call it manipulation." Researcher Bill Moore took the stage at a conference in Las Vegas in 1989 and confessed he had leaked information to the UFO community on behalf of the government. The room froze because the man who introduced the MJ-12 documents to the world was also a state agent. At that moment, everyone thought the same thing. What was the truth? Which was the lie? Maybe there was no difference between them anymore. And perhaps this was exactly what Majestic 12 wanted, the exhaustion of the masses with alternative scenarios before reaching the truth. And for them to assume all these events were nonsense, give up on the pursuit, and ignore the truth. Today, we are no longer people searching for the truth. We are a society that decides based on who we hear the truth from. Just like in 1947, when someone tells us it was just a balloon, believing it for a moment is still the easiest option. Because sometimes the biggest secret project is to make people ignore the truth when they hear it. And maybe we are a part of that project without even realizing it. You can find all the reference books and source materials we used in the video description below. So, what do you think about all these events? Please share your thoughts in the comments to inspire me, and don't forget to subscribe and like to support me. Our only source of motivation is the support we receive from you. See you in the next mystery.